The lottery code words for the California Super Lotto drawing on Saturday, November 5th, 2011 are Bootes, Moviola, Boorish, Espoused, Fence Sitter Globe, Natural History, Mortgage. And the one main event that I focused on for this weekend was the movie Puss in Boots. And it should be fairly obvious what the significant coincidence is here, because one of the code words looks a lot like boots. It's not boots, of course. It's the proper name Bootes, which is a constellation. And this is one of these cases. In some respects, this is even more extraordinary than having Macintosh come up for the Steve Jobs interview. But on the other hand, you have to ask, well, why did it come up Bootes instead of just boots? Well, of course, boots in the plural form was not a possible code word. Of course, the thought had occurred to me that the word boot might come up, especially following having Macintosh come up for the Steve Jobs interview. But even though I entertained the idea that boots might be a possible code word for Puss in Boots, the idea that Bootes would come up seemed not only far-fetched, but somewhat impertinent, because what does Bootes, apart from the similarity in spelling between Bootes and Boots, have to do with Puss in Boots? Well, ironically, it turns out there's a connection, which I found a little bizarre. In the first place, I wouldn't have even discovered the connection except for the fact that I had a little trouble finding a font that had the umlaut over the second O in Bootes, so I had to do a little web searching to find a source for the spelling of Bootes with the umlaut over the second O, and in the process I came upon this very interesting entry of here in Wikipedia. I came upon this entry of, I'm not sure whether the proper pronunciation is Bootes, as with the name of the constellation, or if it's just booties, but it's an acronym for the Burst Observer Optical Transient Exploring System, which is a network of astronomical observatories, and one of them is located in southern Spain, which appears to be the setting for Puss in Boots. So, oh my gosh, what a funny little coincidence that is. Does it have any deeper meaning than that? I don't know. All I'm thinking is that if I hadn't been looking for some source for the umlaut over the second O in Bootes, I would never have even stumbled upon the connection between Spain and Bootes, as in the observatory in southern Spain for the Bootes astronomical observatory network. Just kind of a weird, funny coincidence there. Other issues to address, because obviously, even though the coincidence of Bootes and Puss in Boots is interesting, it's not the only interesting thing that happened here in terms of a Ouija board effect. There were actually several other words that were somewhat fitting for the movie Puss in Boots. Boorish Espoused and Fence Sitter Globe. What does that have to do with anything? There were, of course, other characters in the movie Puss in Boots, and among them was Humpty Dumpty, the egg who sits on a wall, and so you have Fence Sitter Globe. Kind of an interesting coincidence that we would be getting Fence Sitter Globe coming up in conjunction with focusing on a movie which involves a famous egg that sits on a wall, and so that's a funny coincidence. And then Boorish Espoused seemed very fitting for the characters of Jack and Jill in the movie Puss in Boots, who are, of course, married and extremely boorish, so Boorish Espoused was extraordinarily appropriate there. Natural History and Mortgage don't seem to have any particular relevance to Puss in Boots. Moviola, well, doesn't really have a explicit connection to Puss in Boots, except for the fact that it does have kind of a Latin flavor to it, Moviola. And of course, Puss in Boots is a movie set in Spain, so hola. Something else that needs to be acknowledged is the fact that November the 5th was Guy Fawkes Day. No obvious connection between any of the lottery code words that came up in Guy Fawkes Day, but some slight amusing connections in the imagery that I associated with the movie Puss in Boots. It's kind of funny that the character Puss in Boots is somewhat similar to another character that Antonio Banderas, who does the voice of Puss in Boots, had played several years ago, Zorro. And of course, Zorro is Spanish for fox. So what does it all mean? Well, I think it means that if you look for coincidences, you can always find them one way or another. But as far as Bootes coming up for Puss in Boots, I think that's somewhat significant. When I was a kid, my brother, who's into astronomy, he would sometimes make a pun when he would show me the constellations and point out Bootes. He would say something like, "You can bet your Bootes," as punning Bootes and booties. But I think that the fact that this coincidence would occur is just another interesting example of how the subconscious mind can manipulate mind over matter. So anyway, let's go ahead and entangle the lottery code words with the movie trailers for Puss in Boots. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history,
What
mortgage.
are you doing here, senor?
Bootes, moviola,
Did you lose your ball of
boorish,
yarn?
espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage.
You do not want to make the cat angry.
Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused,
I protect the
fence-sitter, globe,
Puss in Boots.
natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage.
Is it hot in here?
Bootes, moviola,
Puss in Boots.
boorish,
Legend tales of an
espoused,
ancient treasure.
fence-sitter,
Hidden for centuries
globe,
and guarded by giants
natural
in a castle
history,
in the sky.
mortgage.
Holy holy.
Bootes,
Whoever finds this
moviola,
treasure will be given riches
boorish,
beyond
espoused,
imagination. Show him the golden eggs.
fence-sitter,
No!
globe,
Please,
natural
you
history,
have shown enough.
mortgage.
Do not worry.
Bootes,
Protect me?
moviola,
And who's gonna protect you?
boorish,
Is it true
espoused,
that lands on its feet?
fence-sitter,
That is just a rumor
globe,
spread by dogs.
natural history,
Fear me.
mortgage. Bootes, moviola,
That's not
boorish,
what Mama said.
espoused, fence-sitter, globe,
My
natural
thirst for
history,
adventure will never be
mortgage.
quenched.
Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused,
Let's go.
fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage.
You may know my name,
Bootes,
but you do not know
moviola,
the legend.
boorish, espoused,
I protect the innocent.
fence-sitter,
We owe everything to
globe,
And in my brave
natural
and noble
history,
quest for justice,
mortgage.
nothing will distract me.
Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter,
This
globe,
November,
natural
murderous
history,
outlaws have
mortgage.
discovered an ancient power. With it, they can destroy
Bootes,
the world.
moviola,
Boss, can you help us? There's no
boorish,
time to waste.
espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural
do it.
history, mortgage. Bootes,
Humpty,
moviola,
Dumpty. We're going to need her.
boorish, espoused,
She's Kitty Softballs.
I'll steal you
fence-sitter,
blind, and you'll never even know
globe,
I was there.
natural history,
She is
mortgage.
a bad kitty.
When the world is in danger, only one
Bootes,
hero
moviola,
has what it takes
boorish, espoused,
Holy
fence-sitter,
to fill
globe,
these boots.
natural
That's
history,
a lot of heel for a guy,
mortgage.
don't you think?
Bootes, moviola,
Arrest them!
You got any idea what they do
boorish,
to eggs in prison? I'll
espoused,
tell you this. It ain't
fence-sitter,
over easy.
globe, natural history,
Destiny.
mortgage.
My name would become
Bootes, moviola,
legend.
boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe,
DreamWorks Puss in Boots.
natural history, mortgage.
Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage. Bootes, moviola, boorish, espoused, fence-sitter, globe, natural history, mortgage.